My wife secretly recorded my conversations to prove a point, so I gave her one instead. Wait, gave her one what? Oh, this is gonna be juicy, isn't it?
The Bearded Take with Ethan X.
So, this happened last week, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. My wife, 29 female, and I, 31 male, have been having small arguments lately. Nothing crazy, just normal couple stuff. Chores, schedules, who forgot to take the trash out, that kind of thing. But she kept saying something that started to get under my skin. You always twist things. You never remember what you actually said. You make me feel crazy. At first I thought, okay, maybe I am misremembering. I tried to be more mindful, even started apologizing more just to keep the peace. But then one night we got into a small argument about dinner plans. Nothing serious. I said I thought we agreed on takeout. She insisted I said I'd cook. Whatever, not a big deal. Until she pulls out her phone, hits play, and suddenly I'm hearing my own voice from earlier that day. Crystal clear. I'll cook tonight. Don't worry about it. I just stood there like, what? I asked her where that came from, and she casually says, oh, I've been recording our conversations lately, just so I can go back and prove what actually happened. I genuinely didn't know how to respond. Apparently, she's been doing this for weeks. Every disagreement, every conversation where she felt like I might rewrite history, she recorded it without telling me. And the worst part? She looked proud of it. Like she's just solved some massive relationship problem. I told her that was a huge violation of trust, like insane behavior. She immediately flipped it on me and said, well, if you didn't gaslight me, I wouldn't have to do this. That word, gaslight, I felt my stomach drop. Because now it wasn't just about recordings. She genuinely believed I was manipulating her. So I did something I've never done before. I packed a bag and I left. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. Just told her, if you think I'm that kind of person, you shouldn't be with me. I stayed at a friend's place for a few days, and here's where it gets messy. She started texting me nonstop. First, it was anger. So you're just running away instead of taking accountability? Then it turned into panic. I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted us to communicate better. Please don't throw our marriage away over this. And then, the twist. She admitted she knew it was extreme. She said she started doing it after one argument months ago where she thought I made her look bad in front of friends. She said she felt out of control and wanted proof she wasn't crazy. But now she's saying she went too far, deleted everything, and wants to fix things. I told her I need space because honestly, I don't even know what I'm coming back to. Like, how do you go back to normal after finding out your spouse was secretly recording you for weeks? Wow, well, that's kind of crazy. And if I want to play devil's advocate here, let's just think about this for a moment. Because whether or not you meant to, you made your wife feel as though you were gaslighting her. Because you would say one thing, she would remember you said one thing, and then out of nowhere, it was like you were flipping the script on her. Whether or not you meant to do that doesn't matter at that point. It really sounds like you need to be remembering what you're saying and promising more than anything else. And it kind of sounds like this whole situation sort of boiled up to a point where she didn't know what else to do. And it was to a point where you apparently embarrassed her in front of her friends. So of course, she's not going to hesitate to sort of maybe think outside of the box to figure this out. I don't think she's trying to throw away the marriage by any stretch. But before we make any crazy judgments or come to any conclusions, there's an update. So let's jump into the update and see where it takes us. So I went back to the house yesterday to grab more clothes. She wasn't home, but her laptop was open on the kitchen table. And yeah, I know I probably shouldn't have looked, but I did. There was a folder with dozens of audio files, dated, organized, some labeled with things like argument about finances, dinner disagreement, caught him contradicting himself. And I clicked one. It wasn't just recordings. She had notes, timestamps, commentary, interpretations of what I really meant, like she was building a case against me. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about one argument. This was about communication. She's been quietly collecting evidence against me in my own marriage. I closed the laptop, grabbed my stuff, and left. She texted me later asking if we could talk. I told her I think we're way past that. So, am I the a-hole for walking away instead of trying to fix this? So, I can understand why you feel violated and probably taken by surprise with this whole thing. But what else is she supposed to do to prove to you that you're having memory problems and possibly causing a majority of these arguments because of this? And I think most importantly, why aren't you able to take some responsibility for this, even if you don't feel comfortable with her approach to trying to solve this problem? Why are you running away from it instead of actually trying to solve it with her? Am I crazy for thinking that her solution of recording your conversations is that crazy if you were unwilling to take responsibility even before now? It sounds like she's called you out on it a good handful of times and it just hasn't been able to resolve itself with these conversations. So it looks like we got one final update. Let's just see how this plays out, because I'm really curious and I'm starting to feel like Dr. Phil again. All right, I didn't expect things to escalate like this, but here we are. After I found the recordings and told her I was done, she went completely silent for about 2 days. No texts, no calls, nothing. Honestly, I thought that was the end. Then yesterday, she asked if we could meet in person one last time to just talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop, public place, neutral ground. I figured if anything, we'd get some kind of closure. At first, she seemed calm, almost too calm. She apologized again, said she knows what she did was wrong, that she let her anxiety get the best of her, and that she lost perspective. She even said she'd be willing to go to therapy, both individually and together. And for a second, I'll be honest, I felt myself softening. This is my wife, someone I built a life with. It's not easy to just shut that off. But then she said something that completely snapped me back into reality. She said, "I just wish you understood why I had to do it. Not why I felt like I had to, not why I thought I needed to, why I had to." Well, why does that make a difference? Anyway, I asked her what she meant and she doubled down. She told me that even now she still believes I distort conversations and that the recordings were the only way she could protect herself from being manipulated. So I asked her straight up, if I agree to come back, would you stop recording me? And she hesitated. Not long, maybe a second or two, but it was enough. Then she said I would try, but I need to feel safe too. And that was it for me, because that's when I realized this isn't something we can fix with an apology or even therapy. And worse, she sees herself as the victim of something I don't even believe I'm doing. There's no middle ground there. I told her I'm filing for divorce. She didn't cry this time, didn't argue. She just kind of sat there and nodded like she already knew that's where this was heading. Before I left, she said one last thing. "I hope one day you realize I wasn't crazy." And I said, "I hope one day you realize I wasn't the enemy." I walked out, and that was the end of the conversation. Since then, I've been staying with my friend and starting the process of separating everything. Finances, lease, all of it. It sucks. I won't pretend it doesn't. But at the same time, there's this weird sense of clarity. Like, I finally understand that this wasn't just a rough patch. It was something deeper that neither of us could fix together. So yeah, that's the final update. Not the ending I wanted, but probably the one I needed. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I actually just went back and I reread the story because I really am struggling to understand why this guy's head is so far up his you-know-what. And I'm not trying to discount his side of it. I think he has a right to feel like maybe his privacy was violated a little bit, but you're talking about your wife here, who you've been arguing with for months, albeit maybe nothing crazy, but she felt as though every time there was a conversation had where there was a decision or a commitment made, that when she would hold you to what you said, you would say that you agreed to the complete opposite or something. And then it got to a point where she started recording all of these things so that she could prove that she wasn't crazy, because you were literally making her feel crazy. Am I crazy for thinking that what she did as a last resort wasn't as crazy as you think it is? And the fact that you won't take any accountability whatsoever is kind of crazy in and of itself. Feelings aside about how she made you feel by recording you and proving you wrong, that you said one thing and then tried to say you said the opposite or something different later on. Like, She proved you wrong and you still won't take accountability for it and you want to divorce her over it. Trying to decide who's more of an a-hole in this situation is honestly making me crazy. Because it sounds like she would try to have a conversation with you and hold you accountable to you agreeing to one thing and then saying another later on, and you just didn't want to entertain that conversation. So then she finally got to a point where she was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to record our conversations and then just put it in his face and prove to him that he's not remembering things correctly. And look, I'm not a medical professional, but 31 years old seems a little bit young to be having like early signs of like Alzheimer's or something like that, but you never know. And if you're having memory issues like this and you won't take accountability for it, then I don't really know what else to say. I honestly think you are the a-hole. That's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.